This epoxy tabletop has been nothing but problems. I've been avoiding getting it finished for several months, but cold weather is coming on and it'll be too cold in my shop to get it finished here before too long, so I'm going to go ahead and get it done. I'm getting ready to pour one more layer of epoxy on the top, and hopefully that will be it. Here we go. Epoxy is mixed. I would like to say I think I got it this time, but I'm going to wait before making any assessment. Looks good. I think I got all the bubbles out, but we'll just have to wait and see. Oh boy. Stuff's a little bit sticky. Between the flashing tape and the plastic, the table came out unscathed. I'll have to clean up the edges. I'll probably have to use some paint thinner or acetone to get the little remnants of flashing tape adhesive off. I keep going around in circles with this tabletop. The latest pour of epoxy is good and clear. I don't see any bubbles in it, but the surface has little waves and some little dimples. I can't get them to show up on camera, but I'm going to have to sand this top and try polishing it to get it smooth. It's really minor. You can only see the defects if the light's hitting it at just the right angle. So I'm thinking I'm not like to sand too deep, but something's definitely going to have to be done to it because it's just not looking right. So I'm getting ready to take the top back off of the base so I can work on it. I've got to run it through my table saw to trim the edges smooth because the latest pour of epoxy ran down between the flashing tape and the edge just a little bit, not enough to really drip, but it made the edges rough. It's like the flashing tape had little wrinkles in it. So that's where I am. I'm not going to say that this is the last epoxy tabletop I'll ever make, but this is the last one I'm ever planning to make. Even if I could sell this thing for $2,500, I'd still be losing money on it, and there's no way I'm going to be able to get that much out of it. So I'll just have to chalk it up to an experiment. I'll just work my way from 150 grit up to 10,000. And the top is looking really good. I'm getting ready to use some rubbing compound and then polishing compound with my buffer and see if I can get this thing to shine. When I got down to the polishing stage, I noticed some sanding defects, a few little scratches here and there. So I have decided that I'm going to drop back to 800 grit, wet sand the whole thing by hand, because I just don't think this machine sanding is going to get me where I need to be. The little scratches and defects don't show up until I start polishing it and getting it really shiny, like it is right now with a matte finish. They're not visible, not noticeable. I'm gonna hit it with 800, 1000, and 2000 by hand, and then go back to the rubbing compound and polishing compound and see how it looks. It's been a lot of work, but I have finally gotten this top to where I want it. The hand sanding on the last 3 grits was the trick that I needed to get rid of the little swirl marks from the sander. And if it had been on wood, I don't think those marks would have even shown up because they were so tiny. I've got to go back and paint the edges and the bottom again because the bottom's gotten scuffed up some from moving it around. And of course, I cut the paint off the edges when I squared up the new layer of epoxy with the old layers. Put the first coat of paint on the edges, and now I'm going to reattach the top to the base so I can finish painting the edges, and I'll be able to turn the table as I need to without having to worry about damaging the paint. Got the edges painted. Gonna uncover this thing and see what we got. Well, I think I finally got it. I'm pretty pleased with the way the top is looking. The paint turned out good. There's a couple of little spots I'll have to touch up. I'm not going to bother with that right now. I'm going to let it fully cure before I do anything to it. I'll probably hit the top with one more coat of wax. Just to shine it up a little bit more, buff off any smudges that I put on it. I noticed my painter's tape left some little smudges around the edge. But I am calling this done. Now the real trick is going to be getting rid of this thing. I think I'm going to try to pawn it off on my daughter.